All right. To start off with, we're going to be going to, like I said, a place called Yanxia. Where is that? It's in the Stormblood DLC. What does that mean? It means you got to get to like level 60. Yeah, level 60, and then do the main story quest. So by the time you get there, you're probably sitting at like level 63, 64, something like that. Why is it? Why is any of this important? Because you're not going to get there right away. Okay, it's just not going to happen. There's going to be main story quests that you got to go through, and none of the other quests are going to unlock until you finish the story quest. That's fine. That's just how it goes. And so I'm not going to be covering that. You got to do the story. You got to do the main story quest as part of the main story anyway. So you're going to be seeing that for yourself, or if you're skipping it, then this is not the video to watch. Go watch a different video. I'm just here to tell you about the little quests in between that is there and the fates, because those are the things I'm interested in, right? I want to know how the areas in Yanxia and the fates mingle together to make whatever story the developers are trying to make easy. Okay, so one of the first places you're going to get to in Yanxia is called Namai. Namai is sort of just a small village full of rice farmers and basically dudes that don't want to be in the that basically full of dudes that don't want to grow up into the little rice farmer town, and they want to go to the big city and become a big soldier or whatever there, right? So one of the things that you see happening in the village is that there's not a whole lot of people there to defend it. There's not a whole lot of people there to defend it, and there's not a whole lot of people there to sort of keep the rice paddies going, the rice fields going. So there's a quest where you talk to a guy and he's just like, "Hey, I don't have time to talk to you. A bunch of these rice paddy fields and the walls that supporting them are starting to fail. I need you to pick up these stones and take them over to the other places and like put them in the wall, right? So that way they don't fall and destroy everything down below, because our village, we're in the kind of like the basin, and the rice paddies, they're up in the wall in the hills. So if everything collapses down, it's a bad thing. So they have us go and do that. But on top of also doing, well, okay, but on top of doing not just paddy terrace repairs, there's also like, oh, hey, I made this concoction. It's full of resin and garlic and like bad smelling monster guts. And what I want you to do is go around and I want you to spray down strategic locations, because that doing that sort of thing will kind of keep all the pests and the beasts, keep them away from the fields. And that's going to make our lives just a little bit easier. Then, in this other quest, there's also a quest called Fly My Pretties, like from Wizard of Oz, where the dude has you go around and he has you collect these plants called arrowheads. Which, fun fact, the Doman word for arrowhead is namai. So we find out that these plants, the village is named after these plants. And we also learn that the people here used to train birds to hunt the pests to help keep things running smoothly. There's a quest called the Toon Patrol where we go and we deal with a few weasels, and that's when we find out that the village uses scarecrows made out of bamboo, and they use those along with like the this foul smelling concoction we made to like to just keep monsters and things out of the town, right? Because like if they just let whatever just come in and run through, like it's gonna be bad. And what's fun about the bamboo scarecrows is that it didn't used to be like just bamboo. They used to take the weasels that we end up killing in the quest, and they used to use those as the scarecrows to kind of be like a pirate warning. Like how in the back in the day, people would kill pirates and then hang them up and be like, "If you're a pirate, this is gonna happen to you." Well, they used to do that with the weasels to keep the other weasels out, but it just pissed off the weasels. So now the weasels are even more involved in attacking the city, which is where we come in to take them out. But it's a bad history. But it's not just quests where you're going around killing monsters. There's also the fates, like I was talking about. There's a fate called, I think it's called like Leave the Meters Running or something, where there's a bunch of caterpillars called geometers, and they're just running amok in the harvest, and you got to go in there with hopefully other people to make it go faster to take out all the geometers so that they stop eating all the rice, all the harvest. They're bad. You got to take them out. And that's not the only fate with bugs. There's also a fate with a bunch of rhino beetles that are also doing the same thing. But I think that's more of like a they're just migrating, and you want to like kind of kill a bunch of them. Which I think the idea is to like divert them away from the village. Like they're not really there to eat the crops. It's really just that they're a problem in the game. So they want you to take care of them. But it's not just like bugs, animals, and other things that are trying to cause problems for the village of Namai, right? There's also specters, like ghost things called. There's a fate called Surubebi Snuggly, I think it is, where it's just a boss fate. There's like this big ghost thing, and if you walk next to where the fate encounter is, you can see a dude just like freaking out that there's like a ghost there, and he's like, "Oh, please kill it, please get rid of it." So you get in, you take care of it, and then everything's fine. But it's funny to think that like, while there's these beetles and weasels and what was the other thing? The caterpillars just like running amok. There's just this ghost hanging out, and everybody's more freaked out about. Well, they're not more freaked out, but there's this one guy that's just petrified. But that's not to say, like, the people in Namai only want to kill a bunch of monsters. They also want to kind of population control in a way. So there's one quest, I'm sorry, not a quest, a fate, where what ends up happening is there's a bunch of those like shoebill, hornbill birds, and they're flying around, but they got their eggs on the ground. And so what the guy wants you to do is go in there, kill. Well, don't you can kill the bird to get the eggs, but you can also just collect the eggs off the ground and bring them back to him. And the idea is like, oh, they're mating, they're spawning. So what you want to do is we don't want them to get overpopulated and out of control. So we want you to go in there, collect the stuff, bring it to me, and that way the birds won't overpopulate, start causing problems in the environment and other bad stuff. I mean, the farmers don't even have a problem with the birds. Like they like the birds. It's just that they don't want them to overpopulate and basically kill themselves out fighting over food. Now, when you're running up to Yanxia, you'll see that there's a bunch of tigers hanging out, which is great because you're going to need to kill a bunch of them or buy a bunch of their skins off the market board for the crafters. But there's also, they're tigers. They're dangerous. So there's a fate. Tiger needs. You kill a bunch of tigers. I don't know if killing fate monsters gives you their materials, but if they still do, farm some skins. I still regularly make low level stuff to put on the market board, and I'm still making a bunch of money. Now, I think in the previous area, the Ruby Sea, there's a couple of these wolf people. I think they're called lupins. And in the village of Namai, you can find one there, and he has a quest. What he wants you to do is go out and kill some tigers and bring him their meat, and that the lupin happen to have a they like tiger meat. It's great for them. They love it. And on top of that, there's also a quest, speaking of food. And speaking of food, there's also a quest called Whacking Day where the villagers have you go out there and kill a bunch of water serpents because in my water serpent meat is really good. So you got the lupin who like uh, tiger meat, and you got other people who like serpent meat, and and so and plus you got the eggs right from the hornbills. So So you got the lupin who like tiger meat, you got the people in Namai who like serpent meat, and you got on top of that the people in Namai who also collect the river hornbill eggs to eat those as well. So like you're getting an idea of what Namai people tend to eat. I mean, in a quest outside of the village, there's the village hunter, and he has you go around. He has you set up some traps. As you set up some traps, and then he has you collect some fish from the nearby river that he has set up a trap there too. And then he has you take them over to his wife because I'm assuming like he gives you a whole bunch. And so what ends up happening is because he's a hunter, he helps procure the meat for the village. So during the main quest, you find out Garlemald invaded Authard, which is where I'm pretty sure this continent is. And you find out that a lot of the reason why there's no young people to help defend the village or become future ice farmers is not only because they just don't want to do that, it's also because they were forcibly conscripted to fight for Gollumald. That's when you find out that the hunter on the outside of the village got injured fighting to stop the Garlemald from, taking all their young people to join the army. And so he can't really make a living, which is why he has to use traps to get anything done. You also find out from the previous quest where we're talking about the guy who's like, I need you to repair the walls because I'm too old, I can't do it quick enough. He used to have an apprentice, and that guy got conscripted by Garlemald to join the army. So like he's by himself fixing the walls because the apprentice he had got taken from him. There's also a quest called Hungry Hog where you find out that there's just this old dude trying to take down this boar that's going wild, and he's getting himself hurt because he's by himself, right? Everybody that would be used as a fighting force, young men in the village were conscripted to join Garlemald's army. So you got to be the one to step in, but really, in a normal situation, you wouldn't have had to do anything because there would have been people there. And as if that wasn't bad enough, there's even a fate where you have to fight a boss that got upset because some of the war machines that Garlemald used upset the ecosystem so much that it's just wilding out. Like Garlemald coming in and doing what they did has like really caused problems for Namai, and that's even outside of the main scenario quest. So much so that like there's even a so much so much so that there's even a fate where just the wildlife like wolves and stuff are out there attacking people because there's just no natural food source for them, so they got to take what they can, and they're attacking people. That one is called Raise the Red Lantern, as in Raze, as in like fire. Okay, so that's what's going on with the Namai, but Namai isn't the only place on the map. There's also a place called Yuzuku Manor, which have a bunch of the little what do they call it? The catfish people, the Namazu. And you find out that there's a fairly good trade relation going on with them. There's a quest where we're asked to deliver some seeds for the cherry trees and some other stuff from Namai to Yakuzu Manor because one of the Namazu while visiting Namai was like, hey, those are really cool trees. I'm interested in those. And so the people there were like, oh, hey, here, take these seeds and learn how to do them yourself. They're great. There's even a quest where the Namazu have found a little girl that was washed ashore in a boat, and they go, "Hey, can you go and tell the people in Namai that we found this little girl? Maybe they know something." And you find out that in Namai, a girl did go missing, and you were able to help reunite them with them. So like, it's not like this is just like a mutually beneficial thing. Well, I mean, it is, but there's also the thing of like, well, this doesn't really benefit me to help you out here, but like we want to keep things strong, so we kept your daughter safe in the meantime. We even learned that the Namazu wear the bells because it's a sort of tradition from when they were servants for this old king. We also learn in that same quest that the guy that is the hunter in Namai, his family made the bells. So when we go and ask him to make some more, we find out like, oh no, it wasn't me. It was my father and his grandfather. And so, but I got some of this. I still have some of the materials. You're welcome to take those and give them to the Namazu, and maybe they can do something with that. But not all Namazu are good. I mean, if you do the main quest, they're kind of stupid. But there's even a fate where there's just a bunch of Namazu that are like bandits and they don't have bells or anything. And so you get to go in there and you get to beat them all up and take the stuff that they stole. and deliver them to this woman who's just off to the side, kind of like freaking out about it. It's like, oh no, Namazu, well, let me beat him up for you. There's more to the Namazu than just being stupid and kind of really good at like public relations. There's also a quest where a Koja, one of those just head dudes with big ears, one of them stole the money from a Namazu, and so the Namazu wants you to go after him and like get it back, and you do, but during the fight, like he calls his friends and they ambush you, which low blow, but I'll deal with it. You take him out, and the dude's just like, I don't know where I was going with that, but like you beat up the head, and you get the money back, and you go and talk to the Namazu, and like, here you go, and it's like cool, but you go over here and do this other quest and this other fate, and it's kind of like, okay, maybe you guys kind of have it coming. Like you all are jerks sometimes. Like there's this one fate chain where there's this Namazu just like, hey, I just did a bunch of fishing, and here's all my fishing stuff. I can't wait to go feed my family. And then some monsters show up and they like, I'm gonna take your stuff, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. All right, well let's fight off the monsters. And then after you beat the monsters, other Namazu show up and they're like, hey, I'm gonna take your stuff. And you're like, you got to beat up these Namazu too. And so you beat up the Namazu, and then like the guy that's doing the fate chain is the important character in the fate chain, just gets so upset that he starts throwing a tantrum. You got to beat him up too. It's like, bro, I've been doing nothing but helping you. Why are you freaking out so much? Also, fun fact, Namazu like drinking, but they don't drink alcohol like people. They drink tea, and tea is capable of getting them just as drunk. So there's a quest where a bunch of Namazu have gotten drunk off of tea, and you get to go around and just splash muddy water on their faces, wake them up, and be like, hey, yo, boss man wants you. And they all freak out. So they run back to the base to try to not catch a ass chewing. It's great. But being catfish people, like the Namazu are short and they have like the catfish whiskers, which surprisingly are very useful tools to the Namazu. They can use those to like locate objects, which makes them really good at search and rescue missions, which you find out by helping a group of Namazu who are in training help them locate objects so that they can become full-fledged in like search and rescue and things like that. And that by using their whiskers in that manner, like an old king of Doma recognized their talents, which is how they came to be the way they are with the bells and everything, is because they used their whiskers to find stuff. And the king was so impressed. He was like, hey, I'm going to make you my servants, and these bells are going to be a sign of that. And the Namazu are so loyal to this old king that, like, when the Garleans show up, they end up stealing a vase of some value from the manor. So a certain Namazu has you go to where the Garleans' bases are, and you search around looking for this vase and beating up some Garleans in the process. It's just that like even though these dudes are kind of dumb, they're also like, yo, this guy was we got to help this king that's dead because he did such good stuff for us. We want to honor that memory. And that like they like their bells so much that there's this quest where uh one of the Namazu, they lose their bell, and so like you have to find it. But the thing is, like the Namazu accompanies you, and by like using the Namazu to help you, they have this almost psychic like connection with their bell. Like you would think they were using their whiskers, but the bell and the Namazu are basically like soul bound, so they can find the bell. So you find out like just how deep like this loyalty and connection with the bell and the old king of Doma like really goes. So that's basically the Namazu area. You also, but like that's not the where Yanxia ends. There's this other place called the House of the Fierce, and that's where like your last little set of quests comes from. And you find out that the Namazu also have a connection with them. You find out that some of the Namazu work as informants for the House of the Fierce. So they spy on Garleans and spies and other people to give information so that the resistance, which by the end of the main scenario quest doesn't matter, but I did these quests so late that they're still talking about like, oh man, the Garlean War is still going on. Little do they know, like, hey, we fixed that years ago, baby. But if the Namazu are spying on the Garleans and other people, What about the House of the Fierce? Well, you find out that there's a samurai that's, I don't know if he's considered a spy, but like he is selling information to the Garleans about the House of the Fierce. So you get to track him and get proof that he's up to no good, and then we arrest him at the end of it. So like even though the war ended, because I'm doing these quests so late, there's still conflict. In the House of the Fierce, there's also just, it's a resistance headquarters, but some people are less motivated than others. So there's a quest where you get to spar with one of these samurai, but it's not really him, it's his friend. So there's two samurais. There's the one that's like, yo, I'm for the resistance, and the other guy's like, I'm in the resistance, but I'm not really into it. Why don't you fight my friend to see if I like it? So you beat up his friend, and by doing that, the guy that's like not motivated is like, oh yeah, okay, I want to be like you. I'm in this now. Let's go. So you're doing your part in some ways, even though the war's over. And then there's some, normal quests where it's like, oh, hey, can you go beat up this monster to get this item? And hey, can you go to this place to collect these herbs? And normal quest stuff in like any area. And part of that includes like there's this one quest where you go to like the destroyed ruins of a town and you look for a specific place because inside of there is a book that contains a bunch of herbal information that can be used to help treat the wounds of other soldiers. That's cool. And there's also a quest that's in the same area where like this old samurai is like, "Hey, can you meet me at this one place?" And you go there, and it's basically like a funeral procession where like he pours one out for his homies, and the dude's like, "Hey, thanks for coming out here. I didn't really need you here, but because you've been helping us out so much, I felt like I wanted you to be a part of this as a show of like this is why we do it. So like thank you for all your help." And that was pretty cool because the game was just like, "Hey, you're doing these quests and like the people in the game appreciate you doing them." I think that's pretty cool. So, there's this quest called Heart of Iron where you find out that this one guy's family made the automaton that you can see roaming around and attacking people after the Garlean got involved and they messed with the programming. Well, he he wants you to find this one particular automaton, and he wants you to splash this oil on it because it was basically like the last one his father ever made, and it was like the most dangerous one. And so you help him out, but then you find out that like there's also like a fate where the really big automaton is like actually like crushing it. Like so, uh, that dude that you just helped destroy the father's automaton made this big massive automaton, which is the fate boss of that area, that gives you an achievement because it's massive and huge and hard to kill. So it's cool that they explain like, oh yeah, this guy was made by this guy. Anyway, we're gonna make him despawn now, so you can't go back and do mean things to the guy. Wish you had not despawned him, so I could go back and like do mean emotes at the guy. Oh yeah, and if, what's funny about that is like the automaton wouldn't have like even been a problem, but the Namazus found it, and they were like, "Oh, what's this thing?" And they start poking it with a stick, and that's when it woke up and started like thrashing about. So that guy made the robot, and then the Namazu just made things worse. So thanks, buds. There's a fate with a big tiger that's gonna threaten the camp. You take it down. I like that one's just directly related. It's like, hey, yeah, these samurai people, they can't deal with this tiger, but you can. So why don't you help them out a little bit? And then there's another quest, kind of like the tiger one, where there's this group of monsters called the Mata. They come down from the mountain and they're just like, hey, we're here to make things terrible for the people at the House of the Fierce. So you take care of them, and well, now the House of the Fierce owes you two favors. Pretty cool if you think about it. Past that, there's not a whole lot of other connecting quests or fates that intermingle with the areas. There's the Tamamo no Gozen fate line, although that's more of a personal thing. There's a group of fates that involve the Lupin, although that's really just about like a dude that's like running away from the bad the tribe of Lupin. So like you help fight them off, and then you fight the boss of the bad Lupin, and then what's really cool about that one is like during the end of it, a bunch of good Lupin show up and they help you out. So it's like an actual little battle in this area. I liked that just because it actually felt like a little storyline that you can just do whenever you see that fate pop up. So that was cool. Other than that, uh, I think I've just about covered all of the fate and quest connections. So, but if I missed something, let me know in the comments. How do I even start with this? Let's go with how about okay, so here's the thing. It's been 5 months because I just checked since last time I uploaded. Now, nobody really watches my stuff to begin with, so it didn't really bother me. But what's been bothering me is like this is something I've been wanting to do, right? So I started doing this whole like, oh, I want to hit max level in all the jobs in 14 I didn't really have a deadline for it, so really I just thought, I'll just do weekly uploads. But the thing is, I didn't play all that much every week, so each video got shorter and shorter. And so I was like, okay, well, doing weekly updates isn't going to be a long-term thing I can do. So what's the next thing that I can do? Okay, how about one of the other things I want to do is get Necromancer from Palace of the Dead. But that requires a lot more time and effort over a long period of time, and I'm not going to have anything new to happen every time I fail. You know what I mean? So then I started thinking, well, what's something else I could do? And I'm like, well, I don't want to see any quest markers on my map, so why don't I start doing the quests, and I can make a video based on that, and I can do the Beast Tribe quest and make a video based on that, which I have the footage for. I just haven't made the video yet, so that's going to be something I do next. But a long time ago, months ago, I did all the quests in Yanxia, right? And I've been sitting on the footage, kind of playing like, oh, what do I delete from my computer so that I can keep the footage from the Yanxia quest so that I can make that video on it. So while working on that, I finished the script for the Yanxia quest, and that was great. It's just I didn't It's just that I wanted to start incorporating this green screen, the thing that I have behind me, into the video because I like seeing other people who do that sort of thing because they make it look so creative and fun, and it's something I want to learn how to do. So I wanted to combine all those things into one thing. Well, the problem is life got really busy for me, and then once it calmed down, I just got really lazy. So now it's many months later, and I'm trying to get back into that thing of making these videos and uploading them because I'm interested in doing that sort of thing, even if it's just for my own recollection. I can go back and look at these like quests that are in the game and remember like what they were about, whatever. So with that in mind, I wanted to, because I watch a lot of lore channels and stuff like that, I also wanted to take what was done in the quests and turn those into a sort of like story video. And that's what's been stopping me from actually playing more Final Fantasy XIV. I'm in this point of progress where I don't want to move forward with anything because I still want to go back and do all this other stuff before I actually continue moving on. So that's where we are today. I am going to make this video. It's probably not going to be good. I have a script from 5 months ago that looks something else I've noticed about my videos is like as soon as I start putting my voice onto the script and I start reading it out loud for the computer, it sounds like a robot's doing that. I don't want to be a dude that sounds boring as hell. I want to do more fun things. I want to do little skits. And I just want to do stuff like that. And I've been too afraid to start doing that for some reason. Uh, Probably something like something I wanted to do. So, yeah, that's why I'm doing this recording right now. I am going to make a video based on how the Quest and Yanxia kind of interact with each other, how the fates interact with each other, and all of that good stuff. And I'm going to do it in front of this green screen. I'm going to do it. It's going to look bad. It's going to be fine. And I'm just gonna fucking do it. I think that's just the easiest thing I can do. I just gotta sit down and do it. I'm gonna cut out a lot of this, but I'll keep in the important bits, and I'm gonna do this video. Let's do it.